Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Storyist. Racial profiling is a real thing, and it might seem or sound like an issue from the past. But believe it or not, it still is today. To those who have not experienced racial profiling or do not know someone who has, it may seem to be nothing more than a mere inconvenience. However, racial profiling is much more than a hassle or an annoyance. It has real and direct consequences. And it not only impacts one's life or reputation, but it also affects one's mind, feelings, and the perception of the younger generation on issues such as this. Today, I will be sharing with you a story about a racist cop who finds out his wife is having a black baby. You might think the worst, but the ending will surprise you. Stay until the end of the video to see what happens. Lolita has lived her whole life in poverty. She used to live in a small town in the state of Louisiana, and she hasn't achieved anything there as the family she grew up in is poor. Her parents barely have permanent and stable jobs to feed them every day. And that is the very reason why Lolita persevered to land a scholarship in one of the best schools in their state. She was determined to change their life, and she was going to start by achieving the best education their family could have and then land a good-paying job so she could finally bring her entire family to live with her in the city. Because of Lolita's hard work and determination, she was able to achieve all these goals. She was able to finish her studies and get a degree in business administration. She was able to land a good-paying job. And after a few years of saving up, she was able to finally bring her entire family to live with her in the city. Everything seemed to be falling into the right place, and their family couldn't be happier. Until one day, while celebrating for a recent job promotion inside their apartment, Lolita received a call from her boss. Her boss told her, amidst all the noise of congratulations that went along with her big promotion, she would be needed in the head office of their company, which was located in New York. Lolita was surprised to learn this, and despite her longing to be with her family for a long time, she also wanted to accept that once-in-a-lifetime offer. She never dreamed of living in New York, only because she never thought she would be given the opportunity someday. But now that the opportunity itself had come knocking on her door, of course she would grab it. So Lolita moved to New York City alone. She would still send money to her family in Louisiana, but she would pretty much spend most of her holidays in New York. Time went by and Lolita had been coping seamlessly in the city. And at the most unexpected time in fall, she met a guy. She was working at that time in the same company when a burglary disturbed the peace in their office. They immediately called for a police officer, and the cop who arrived was like that in the movies. For Lolita, it was love at first sight. The cop was tall, handsome, and pale. He looked like a Prince Charming with light blonde hair and with his police uniform. He looked more like a knight in shining armor for Lolita. When the man was talking to her as a witness, she tried her best to look good in front of him, but the cop seemed to not pay attention. Days went by and the cop was still investigating their case. He was still ignoring her, and that was when Lolita decided to change her look. After a few months, they met again at a cafe. The first moment their skins touched, sparks flew instantly. The man and Lolita had a connection that was undeniable. Soon enough, the two started dating. Lolita didn't tell him that they had met before, and she did not mention about her having a huge crush on him either. But Lolita was so happy that the man she used to ogle her eyes onto was now hers. "God, I just love your golden hair and your fair complexion. It's just the perfect combination," the cop told Lolita on one of their dates. Lolita just smiled at him, nervously. She loves the man and he's almost perfect for her. He has a decent and respectable job, and he is good looking. The only catch is that he is too racist. He always favors the white people when it comes to giving verdict, and he always suspects or arrests black people before they can even prove themselves innocent just because that's what he believes. But Lolita loves him so much that she doesn't say anything. A few months went by and their affection for each other just grew over time. So it wasn't long until the cop asked Lolita to marry him. And of course, that was Lolita's dream for herself. She answered yes right away, and the two got married. However, there was one thing that the cop wished Lolita would do: introduce him to her parents. Ever since they dated, Lolita had never introduced her cop husband to her parents or any relatives. Lolita would always say that they were too busy or that Louisiana was too far for them to travel to. But the cop always knew something was up. Nevertheless, he loved his wife Lolita and he didn't want to offend her either. After exactly 2 years after their marriage, Lolita finally got pregnant. The couple is extremely happy that they are about to finally meet the latest addition in their family. According to the doctor, Lolita's pregnancy is a bit fragile, so they have to be really careful. Because of this, Lolita is put on bed rest for the rest of her pregnancy. This works well for Lolita, as she doesn't have to do chores around the house and she can work from the comforts of their home. But this also means her husband is working late at night to fill some financial gaps. But her husband doesn't worry or anything, because he trusts Lolita so much. But that is until Lolita's birth comes. In the wee hours of the morning, Lolita's water breaks. Her husband rushes her to the hospital, and when Lolita's baby comes out, it's like his worst nightmare. The baby turns out to be black. The cop doesn't know how that happened. He is white, and Lolita is white too. The only way the baby comes out black is if Lolita had an affair with a black man. Furious, the cop confronts Lolita after her birth. She still hasn't recovered from giving birth yet, but he needs answers. Who is he? How can you make me look like a fool? Caring for you and working late nights for you and that baby that isn't even mine, the cop says, and almost breaks down. He is crying and can't believe what is happening. Lolita asks him to calm down and sit down for a long story ahead. There's no other man. You're the real father of my baby. The truth is, I'm black, Lolita admits. The cop can't believe what he's hearing. Lolita goes on to narrate how she grew up in Louisiana with a black family and how she got to New York. She also recalls to him how she tried to flirt with him the first day they met, but he kept ignoring her because she was black. You were in that office? The cop asks in disbelief. Yes, and your colleague says you don't want to talk to me because I'm black. I really liked you, and that's when I decided to change myself. I underwent a series of sessions to lighten my skin and do some changes to my face, Lolita calmly says. Is that also the reason why you don't want me to meet your family? He asks. Lolita nods at him. The cop can't believe that he has been treated that way. But more importantly, he can't believe that his wife went through so much trouble just because he was a racist. Instead of feeling rage towards his wife, he felt embarrassment for himself. He believes that if there were anyone to be blamed, it is him. He apologizes to Lolita and promises her that no matter what their baby looks like, he will love him wholeheartedly. Lolita is very happy that her husband finally accepts her and her baby for who they are. She says she can't go back to her appearance before, but what she can do is introduce him to her parents. The two lived even more happily since then, and the cop has ended his racist era. Truly, love can change a person, both on the inside and on the outside. That's all for today. We hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you on the next.